Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to probably the most special episode of Midnight Therapy I could ever imagine. This is a very dear friend of mine that's about to bring you some useful information that I don't even know yet. So it's going to be as shocking to me as it is to you. You're getting it only here from Midnight Therapy. This is the one and only Jack Drinker. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Now, please tell our ginormous audience a little bit about you.
Yeah,
Give a
sure.
little introduction, a little background, so they know who they're listening to.
Absolutely. So I'm from the area, just like you are. I just retired about a year and a half ago from the Army. I did just shy of 21 years. I was an infantryman the whole time. I was active duty and in the National Guard. Got to do some pretty cool stuff, some pretty special stuff.
Mhm.
Worked with some interesting agencies for different things I did overseas. And for when I switched to the National Guard, I also worked for about 8 years as a private detective, private investigator.
He's the real deal. Thank you for your service, as always.
Well, it's my pleasure.
I'm sure you have many stories and
One or two,
and some unique insight to bring to the table here. And fortunately, we live in unique times.
Fortunately or unfortunately, that's for sure.
May you live in interesting times, as the proverb goes. They never said if that's good or bad.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the world a bit. The world is a weird place. It gets stranger every day. We could never tackle everything in the world, but in this country alone, America, there are some strange things happening. And I'm sure there's always strange things happening, but it seems recently things are a little stranger.
Yeah.
And I want to get your opinion with your expertise and background on these things. So the first thing I kind of want to jump into here is sort of this past election.
Mm-hmm.
Trump did win, for those who don't know.
Yeah. They might have missed it on the news.
You may have missed it. I know they don't talk about him much. I know he's not, in the news a lot, but he did win. And it seems like he won kind of in an unexpected landslide.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you think there was anything possibly up with the 2020 election where he lost pretty substantially to Joe Biden, who is still the president now, by the way? I just want to remind viewers and you, he is the president.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know if he's alive.
That's, that's one of the best jobs in America. It's got to be, because you got it for 4 years. I mean, they didn't even fire Joe, and he hasn't done anything.
They did not fire Joe. Think about that.
And they wanted to.
And I got fired from Toys R Us. And I never fell asleep as long as he did.
Yeah.
Only 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, the election, this last one and the 2020 election, there's a lot of weird stuff that happened. And there's a lot of misinformation that gets put out too. And that's one of the hardest things anymore for anybody, regardless of your position, your stance, your view, who you like, who you don't like. Mm-hmm. There's so much misinformation because it's fun for people to go on there and be like, oh, he's a lizard.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this going on. It's so easy to derail people, and people are always looking for something that justifies their viewpoint, even if it's out there. So it's easy to look at it and be like, well, Trump lost because, Biden was just a better candidate.
Yeah.
And then those of us that prefer Trump over Biden, it's easy for us to be like, well, obviously it was stolen. But now that you see the 2024 election with the way the numbers went, it's kind of hard to overlook the anomaly that is 2020. You see the numbers going, and then it spikes for both, admittedly, but then it comes back down. But it doesn't come back down a whole lot for Trump, but it sure came down a whole lot for the Democrats.
And I think that's the biggest one. So I think when things are hectic and crazy, it's very easy to lose sight of things and forget. Everything becomes yesterday's news.
Oh, yeah.
So you had COVID last election. That was taking up everybody's brain space. Nobody was really paying too much attention. And then you had January 6th.
Yeah.
Which really made it seem like, all right, time to go. New beginnings. Here we go. Joe won't be that bad. But now looking back, we have a new lens. We can look back with hindsight now. And what seems odd, two things. Joe Biden got significantly more votes than Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And no matter what way you put it, someone needs to tell me, hopefully you, where those votes went.
Oh, well.
Because there's no way people that voted for Biden didn't vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And then if that's true, where'd they go? Did they not vote? Did they ever exist? I don't want to sound like a conspiracy nut more than I usually do. But where did those votes go? And why did they not appear this time around?
Yeah. You can't tell me that it's... So the argument was in 2020, Trump lost not really so much because so many people love Biden, but it's because they were anti-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me 4 years later, the few people that were like anti-Trump all of a sudden were like, it's okay if he gets in. I'm not going to vote. Like, I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it.
If voting does not take that long to do, there's mail-in ballots. You go places. I mean, I'm sure that there's times. I know in our area, I've never waited a tremendous amount of time to vote. There's been times where I've waited, but I'm never like, oh my God, I gotta go. Come on. Like, it's like, there's only 24 hours in the day. What am I going to do?
No.
Like, you got a little bit of time. And I'm sure maybe in the heart of like New York City and Philadelphia, okay, wait time might be, you might wait an hour. You might wait 2 hours. But if it mattered 4 years ago that you had to stop the worst man on the planet, is he just not the worst man on the planet anymore? I'm sure there's some people that are like, you know what? Maybe I made a mistake. That's bound to happen. There's going to be some people who are like, you know what? I'm just not excited for Kamala. I'm just not going to waste my time. I don't want to stand in line for 45 minutes for a woman that's going to lose. Could be. But it was, how many million less votes? How many millions?
Last time I checked, it was 11 million less.
That's a lot of people to just say, fuck it.
Like, you knew the Trump base. The Trump base stayed kind of the same.
They really
I think it was about 76 every time, like average.
I think his went down a little bit for 2024, but you can account that too. I would attribute a little bit to the mail-in ballots. It did make it easier for people that would normally not want to lift a finger to go vote.
Well, you got to think, people, it's too hard, and no offense to you people out there, but it's hard for people to even go to McDonald's and get a McDouble. They have to DoorDash. Like, it's a big, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be rude to you lazies out there, but
you know what? It was a vote dash. That's what I said. DoorDash. It's a vote dash.
They should do that online. It should be an app. Trump. Like, I'm trying to hit Trump. Like, that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be an interesting concept. I wonder if you could actually do that and maintain any sort of voter integrity.
Well, 100% not, but
I don't know, because they catch people all the time doing nefarious things online. Can you not track to make sure they're doing a vote? I think it would definitely be difficult, and I don't think we should even really try, but I wonder if it's possible.
I mean, sooner to be the chip in your hand will be, you have one vote per chip number, and that'll be nice.
That, or the chip in your head tells you who to vote for.
The chip in your head gets hacked, and you go, I actually think Kamala Harris is nice.
Yeah.
And will help the country.
Yeah.
Well, the left gave it their all. I mean, if I had to fix Kamala Harris and make her a prime candidate, I probably would think about paying off Beyonce also.
Yeah.
Because what else are you going to do? You're not going to have her come up with morals and a platform overnight. The best thing would be get Cardi B, put her in the same pantsuit, and maybe we could get some votes. And it kind of worked. I give her credit. It kind of worked.
It reminded me, though, I hit the mic. It reminded me of, I used to watch pro wrestling as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And that's a perfect analogy for politics, because I feel like a lot of them are like, this person's garbage, they suck. And then they get behind the scenes like, hey, buddy, good job tonight. Like, but with Kamala, her versus Trump, well, not really so much her versus Trump, but her rallies, she's the main event. Yeah. She's the Hulk Hogan. But when you bring out a Beyonce, you're stacking the card early, and then your main event is kind of a flop.
It's such a
and it makes the event kind of suck. Even as a kid, I'd watch, I'd be like, man, the match 45 minutes in was better than me. Like, I stayed up for 2 hours to watch this shit fest.
I know, like the Tyson fight with Jake Paul.
Yes,
that sucked.
The earlier fights were great.
Their heads open. That was nice.
There were some impressive fighters right there.
Yeah.
But like, that's a great example right there. And like, when you look back at it, you don't like it because like the main card, like the main event sucked.
I know, and that's unfortunate. So to the left, you should let me be in charge of your campaign next time around. Just skip the middleman and just make Beyonce the candidate. And it would work. I'm telling you, if Beyonce ran or The Rock.
Even if you just did it in reverse order, like, hey, I'm Kamala. Here's my drunken message. Okay, I'm done. Next up is Beyonce. And then leave.
Yes.
Then everyone has to sit through your shit.
Yeah,
because they want the free concert.
Yeah, you don't give the free timeshare away without the boring speech. Like, what are you doing?
So once you're done with the vacation, then come back and talk to us. I'll be back.
We got a Christmas gift. They said they did it wrong. We ordered from Amazon. They said just send back the other one. They're never getting the other one back. You know that? If your company's out there, it's like an espresso company. They're probably going to sue me now. We're never sending it back because it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work, and you messed up, so you have to eat it.
Yep.
And I'm sure you could spare the $44, Jeff Bezos. But speaking of pro wrestling and fake, I went on a rant earlier today, actually, on a podcast about how everything is fake, and I think politics is fake.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's off. Two big ones, Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan, Trump and Obama, hated each other, right? See that Jimmy Carter funeral?
Yeah.
Buddies, they were off camera. Dude, you really got with that pile driver. It looked good. You did good. It looked like they were chummy. What's up with that?
The only thing that I can actually relate to on that was 2005. I was in Iraq.
Okay.
We had a rough day, and we took what's called an EPW, enemy prisoner of war.
Okay.
And we got back to what's called our forward operating base. You got to house them for a little bit before, like, the military police would come and take them, or they would get dropped off, or detention center. For a little bit of time, we have to pull security on them. And I was one of the dudes that had to pull security on them. And this dude was in there. We knew he had killed multiple Americans. He had set up bombs. He had shot. He was the real deal. He was an insurgent. He was loyal. I can't really remember if he was loyal to Saddam or what his motivation was. But I remember he spoke good enough English. And he said something about wanting a cigarette. I always had a pack of cigarettes on me, even though I didn't smoke, because other guys would sometimes want them. Or it'd be a good trade for the Iraqi. Like, hey, why don't you talk to me real quick?
Yeah.
This guy's a prisoner. I know that he's killed people on my side. We've killed people on his side. And we got to talk, because I know it's safe. Like, I'm armed, and I have another. It's not just one-on-one. My buddy is there, too. It's never just a one-on-one. So nothing is going to really happen.
You could spare a Camel Crusher.
Yeah.
You know? You could.
I think I had the old-school Lucky Strikes, because I wanted to pretend like I was my grandfather in World War II.
Americans.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to do it fast.
You flip a Lucky on that? It's upside downer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to.
You got it, man.
But I gave him a cigarette, and like, he spoke good enough English, and like, we were talking about whatever, and I kind of vaguely remember the conversation about like what had happened, why he was doing. But I remember us sitting there, and we were kind of laughing about a little bit of stuff. But 12 hours prior, we were trying to kill each other.
Damn.
So I think maybe in that setting, when you're totally disarmed and the fight is over, okay, you know what? We got a little bit in common.
Yeah.
I could go that route, but it's also very easily could be that it's all show. It's all Andre and Hulk behind the scenes being like, oh, good match, brother. You know?
That's a very nice, elegant example you brought up. Like, you weave that perfectly in, like a real world example where that is true. Maybe human nature is just that even someone you despise, you probably could have a nice laugh with.
Well, it's funny too, actually, only because you mentioned laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I read this, and I don't know if it's true. Maybe one of the listeners or viewers will skewer me over this fact.
Let me know.
But they believe the origin of the human laugh was essentially a sound that we made to let other humans know you're safe. If you think about it, when you go through like a haunted house, you get scared, or something falls over in the middle of the night, you check it out and you figure out what it is. We usually chuckle a little bit, laugh a little bit. So the whole idea of like laughing, okay, they kind of chuckled with each other. Well, the danger's over. He can't hurt me. I can't hurt him.
You're comfortable.
Maybe it's more of an awkward, like, oh, okay, I get it now. It's like, whatever. I hate this fucking guy, but
so that's why girls always laugh during sex because they're comfortable. Is that right?
I mean, I've never had that.
Me either. I just heard. Kidding, viewers. But no, that's a good point there. It's like a innate feature of our evolution, as like a calm, like the election's over, we can be buddies now, kind of like the wrestling match is over though, like we don't have to play anymore.
And but it's also, like I said, like it could be similar to my situation with the Iraqi. It could be the laughing, the nervous laughter, we're over, there's no more threat. It could be, we really pulled one over on these morons.
Yeah, it's like they really thought we were going at it.
Yeah.
And
and they're never going to believe we're sitting next to each other. They're still never going to put it together.
Well, this is kind of like the eyes wide shut thing and the Illuminati shit. Where like you have to show them to get your good karma. Like you have to put it right in front of their face.
Yeah.
You can't be nefarious. You can't be in the shadows. You got to say, we are showing you exactly what's going on.
Yeah, what is that? That's the... because they have to tell you I'm evil.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it and ignore it so they can have the ability to be like, I told you I was a bad person. You didn't care. So now it's okay for me to do all these bad things because you allowed it.
The devil imagery and shit and all that. Like, they do make it pretty blatant.
They lay it on just a tad thick.
They lay it on thick, but we all go, wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
At the Golden Globes or whatever they are called, like Satan will come out and like, I don't know, Lizzo will be shooting bananas out of something and with devil horns and saying, I hate children. And we'll go, yes. Like we go, that's a great song.
Well, look at entertainment.
It's quite odd.
Not even that long ago, stories forever through humanity were always about the good guy. And the good guy was always the ultimate good guy. He might falter a little bit. He might get beat up. But he was always a good guy. Hercules was always a good guy. Superman, always a good guy. And then now lately, we want flawed heroes. Oh, he beat his wife, but he saved the world. Or, he's a little dark, but, he's cool because he's killing those people for the right reason. And it's shifted from ultimate good to kind of a gray area where it's like bad things are okay as long as they're for the right reason.
Yes. Now, this is a perfect segue. We're talking current events. Let's talk current events. I recall a great movie that I actually thoroughly enjoyed, Joker. Not Joker 2.
I didn't
Joker,
watch the second one.
The original. I would never.
No.
But Joker 1 was quite good because it did make the villain the hero.
It really did.
And they didn't like it. Why they made it a dumb musical. The second one is because they thought the first one appealed too much to the toxic males.
To the wrong audience, yep.
And Joker 2 is a total flop, probably the worst movie ever made. Regardless, you are seeing people, they might have a point, you are seeing people kind of take that vigilante dark hero thing on, and you have Luigi Mangione kind of killing a healthcare CEO. It seems like we're trying to make the sexy
almost
Joker.
Like a Punisher type deal. Like, it's like... It's justified.
If you're a Marvel nerd, no offense, it's cool. But if you're actually killing people, it's kind of not cool.
Yeah, I do. I will say, I kind of dove in the rabbit hole really hard with that dude.
So you tell me your thoughts of the Luigi Mangione. I talked about it briefly. I thought there was a lot of weird holes in the story. I want to hear your perspective on this.
So there's two ways something can get messed up. It's ignorance or oversight. And you can almost kind of make them the same deal. Now, when I deployed for the Army to overseas, every time I went somewhere to a combat zone, I was always a rank higher and a position higher. So I got to the point where I was planning operations. I was coordinating with other units, coordinating with foreign units and stuff like that. Reconnaissance is a big thing. And that goes into being a private investigator. I'm pretty proud to say not a lot of people got away from me in 8 years.
Very cool.
They tried really, really hard. Especially these were people that were trying to hide. And to be fair, most of the stuff that I worked was workers' comp. We're not talking overly super duper scumbags.
Okay.
I do have some stories I will not share on camera for some people that I was after because I don't want it to be public knowledge. Fair. But not as cool as some people's imagination might make it out to be, I promise you. But the reconnaissance for what we call an objective or a target, it's really not that hard to find out information. I mean, so to find like this healthcare CEO, that's not that hard to find a name and a picture. It's really not that hard. Now, most people, especially if you have a grudge, if you are deeply pissed at someone, you're going to find the info you want. Yep. Ask any woman that's been jaded. She will find everything online about you.
They're natural detectives.
Yeah,
they are natural detectives. Yeah. It's God-given.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't have all the information. You got to jump to that conclusion, and they are the Olympic athletes at jumping to conclusions.
They are great, and luckily this show has very little female listeners, so we won't offend anyone.
Well, it's okay. It's also an impressive trait, though, sometimes because they're able to get past like, okay, I'm here. I need to be here. How'd I get there? But
you fill in the blanks. You make it up yourself.
But you know what? That is actually a thing that they teach in the Army for planning. Is that sometimes you don't, what's the words I'm looking for? There's data that backs things up, but you cannot know for sure anything that you cannot see right now. So it's actually, I'm drawing a blank on the proper word right now because of my Jack and Cokes. But I remember the one class that I had to take on this, and it was literally like we plan for the sunrise, like we know when the sun's going to come up tomorrow. It's like, but you don't.
Yeah, you really don't.
Something could happen and stop that. But based on the evidence we've had and the observations we've had over a long period of time, we're very confident sunrise is at this time tomorrow. And
I love that.
You can do that, but there's other things where it's like, you know, like when I would follow people as a private investigator, not as just a generic stalker. You especially if you've done surveillance on them for a while, I'm like, okay, this dude always hits Starbucks on the way home. He didn't that one Wednesday I was on him though. But it's like, okay, if I lose him in traffic, I bet you I could find him at Starbucks. Yeah. But it's not a guarantee.
It's likely.
It's a likelihood. So there's a lot of work that goes into like if you're trying to find someone. So the killer. I don't even like to say it's Luigi because right up front, I don't believe it.
I already don't think it's Luigi also.
And I'll explain why.
Please.
Because the level of planning, preparation, and pun intended, execution of this mission was so thoroughly thought out, planned, reconnaissanced correctly, and again, executed correctly. And the exfil was brilliant. The exfil, like getting out of the area, was brilliant. Just to fudge it up in how many miles from New York City to Altoona, he forgot to ditch the fake ID that the multi-millionaire kid. You and I can go get a fake ID right now for $300 and be back before midnight.
Probably 50 now.
Yeah,
$50.
And you're telling me the multi-millionaire kid just decided I'm going to keep this?
Yeah, keep it and then get foiled by a McDonald's clerk. Like they can't even get my order right. And you're going to tell me they identified an eyebrow?
Yeah.
And said, that's the killer from the news I don't watch.
I will say this. If that person really did call them that tip, they don't deserve the hate they're getting. Because regardless of how you feel about whether the healthcare CEO is a bad person because of what they've done, that is still another human being that was killed by another human being outside of any controlled justice system. That's a spouse, that's a dad, that's a son. It is still sad. It is still wrong. And if that McDonald's employee really did think Luigi was that person, they're not wrong or a bad person for tipping off the cops.
Yeah. That should be, you should understand that. Like a fourth grader should understand that.
Yeah, they're not a bad person. I don't think that they were right, and I don't know if they actually did it because I feel like
it's just too coincidental and too convenient.
Yeah, for him, like I said, like getting a name and a picture, especially of like a CEO that's not trying to hide, that's not that hard.
No.
It's not that hard. Like, it's going to be on the website. Finding out that he was going to be at that event, also probably not that hard. It wasn't like it was a secret cult meeting. It was a public event. It might have been a public event, but it was a publicly
there was
known.
invitations. There was probably things online about it, you know.
And if you do a little bit of legwork, I mean, a lot of an investigation, a lot of what you're doing for reconnaissance can be done sitting on the shitter on your phone. You can find out a lot of stuff.
I get a lot done on the shitter, you know.
But you do have to put in a little bit of legwork. And like, as when I was doing investigative work, it's not that hard to just step out there and do something a little strange. Most people won't even notice. I could call up someplace like a venue you're going to be playing at, and I could call and I'd be like, "Hey, did Cat already make that reservation? I'm his manager. I haven't been able to get a hold of him. You know how he is. He sucks responding to texts."
That is true, though. That is true.
Like, I'm just checking to make sure he got it. And the receptionist could be like, "Oh yeah, I see right here. He's already booked that reservation. Okay, thanks." Click. Now I know for 100% you're going to be there.
100%, and it's that easy, and nobody cares.
And that he could have easily done that. He's like, "Hey, I'm not saying he did, but like the level of reconnaissance to figure out that guy's going to be there, he could have done something as simple as that." They're saying he was there for days ahead of time. Mm-hmm. That seems a bit excessive.
Yeah,
I want a couple days, but at the same time, you have Google Street View, you have aerial maps.
Yep.
I don't necessarily need to have boots on the ground to see every inch to plan my stuff out.
Yeah.
But I do need to see him in person, because that picture, what if that's 10 years old? What if he's gained 100 pounds?
Yeah.
What if he grew a beard? What clothes is he wearing? So reconnaissance on your actual target has to be conducted.
Uh-huh.
And so he had to know for definitively, that's my guy.
Yep.
And then he had to follow him, because apparently this CEO walked a distance, I don't know how far of a distance, but a distance away from that venue, and happened to not have his security detachment with him, which was always with him. They weren't with him at the most convenient time for this guy to carry through with his objective. And that seems why, I mean, it's not like it could have been, guy could have been going to get, a hot dog or something down the street. It could have been something very innocent.
Could have been using his free will. Yeah. I'm going to go get a pickle today. He shouldn't have.
It could be anything, but it's like, so Luigi had to have been watching him to know he was leaving, and to know his security wasn't with him, to strike at the most opportune time. And then to leave.
Very convenient.
Very convenient. And to be fair, sometimes you get lucky.
Sometimes you do get lucky.
It is true. But, and then to leave the bag of Monopoly money, right? Wasn't that?
And then to have your manifesto perfectly printed in Times New Roman in your bag. Like it's very odd. If you wanted to get caught that bad, why the ghost gun? Mm-hmm. Why are you engraving the bullets? How are you engraving the bullets? Yeah. Why are you going after a healthcare CEO that's not even your health insurer?
Yeah.
You're a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Sometimes I get mad and I want to like fight City Hall. And I'm like, I'm going to write a letter. I don't even have energy to do that.
Yeah.
If I'm a billionaire, I don't give a fuck if the rates are a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't care. I'm just going to go on my surfing Hawaii.
A lot of them don't even have health insurance, because why would I pay all that money for a maybe when I could just pay for it out of pocket?
That's what I'm saying. This kid never got denied a claim for his thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a millionaire. And go surf.
And if he didn't care if he was going to get caught, why didn't he buy a better quality gun with an actual suppressor instead of a homemade suppressor with a Nielsen device that will actually make the weapon action correctly? Because I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
There's a Nielsen device goes in handguns, because of the gas that helps cycle the weapon when you have a homemade suppressor like that. That's why when he shoots, he has to pull the slide each time.
That's very weird.
And you're telling me the kid that's got a family of $600 million couldn't drop $2,000 on a decent suppressor?
He could have had any gun he wanted.
Exactly.
And probably got away with it. He could have had enough money to get away with it.
Yeah.
He could have went to the Cayman Islands. He could have went anywhere.
Well, yeah, because if you don't drop it right there, it's all guesswork as to, was that a Glock? Was that a Springfield? What was that?
I'm saying, you think this millionaire is getting a 3D printer?
Yeah.
And like making a gun and like, I'm going to pay. You think he like close his eyes and pick the healthcare CEO?
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
To go through all that effort to then keep the manifesto on you, which never happens. Every other school shooter, bomber, anything like that, the manifesto is always at their home.
Yep.
This guy traveled with it, and then I don't know how many miles. It's a distance, though, from New York City to Altoona. And all those times, he never thought to ditch the fake ID in the Susquehanna River. He didn't stop at a random state park, walk off the trail 10 feet, drop the gun, and kick some leaves over it. He didn't have time for that and all that time.
It just seems odd.
It seems very odd.
I've been flustered before, but I've never been that flustered where I just murdered someone. I said, I really need to make chicken.
Yeah.
You know?
It just doesn't.
I would never do that.
And like, people say you try and draw conclusions. Like, you try and sometimes you try to find the conspiracies. But what was the name of the dude? Do you remember the guy that shot the state police officer, killed him, and then wounded the other one? Not far from
our
here?
State?
Yeah. Eric Frayne. Remember, like, he tried to get away, but he was driving in the dark, so he crashed his car, but he left his ID. That all makes sense.
That's what you do. When you just did something crazy,
that all makes sense.
That's what you do. You don't go get a McDouble. You don't. You're scared for your fucking life. You're crashing your car. You're panicking. You're sweating.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yep.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah.
You're watching your life
make mistakes.
Flash. You're freaking out. You're not like, what about a double beef patty with pickles? Like, you're not thinking like that.
But nobody thought Eric Frayne was seven. They're like, oh, well, somebody else crashed it with the... Like, no, that makes sense. This Luigi thing does not make sense.
You know why no one liked Eric Frayne? Because he wasn't hot. No, that's why all you women out there, you're very shallow. You're very shallow. I'm going to be honest. You didn't defend Eric Frayne. Police do bad things all the time, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't defend Eric Frayne. You know why? Because he wasn't high. He didn't have a six-pack. He didn't have that Italian eyebrow.
Yeah, that could be it.
You girls are shallow. All they want to do is marry the Dahmers and these Bundys. Right? Like, what the hell? Maybe we should be more violent.
Yeah, I gotta start strangling.
We gotta strangle people. It's like the mattress firm exec. I'd be like, well, how are you still in business? You know.
Well, how many people now? I actually saw a meme of it was like, it's Batman standing on like the edge, like of some tall building, like this. And so it had to be the Michael Keaton era Batman,
good Batman, and not Adam West.
The bat light is going up, but instead of it being the bat light, it's Luigi, and it has something about the State Farm logo underneath because of all the fires and stuff that had happened.
Yeah,
and it's like
what?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So here's the thing: it's like 9/11 was a tragic thing, maybe an inside job. That might be another podcast. But either way, people always said, too soon to joke about that. Luigi just murders the guy, and it's already like a funny meme. Like, what is this?
Well,
what is this?
That's a Stalin quote. I mean, the death of one is a tragedy. The death of a million is a statistic.
Yeah, I guess that's the truth.
I mean, it kind of feels that way. I mean...
Now, with that being said, I just want this known, and you're going to love this one. So you got Luigi. We know a little bit about him. We hear about it. He's made a martyr. He's made cool, the sexy Italian killer. Girls are putting posters on their wall of him and stuff. It's very.
They did show up to the courthouse. There was a lot of women at the courthouse when he was arraigned.
And he pulled a little bit of a Lee Harvey Oswald. Did you hear that? He goes, "I'm a patsy." Like, not really. He goes, "You're insulting the intelligence of the American people." And then they choked him. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Weird.
Did you see?
He was dressed like Oswald.
I was going to say the clothes was down to a T.
What's up with that?
I wonder if that was a little bit of
Illuminati, just showing you, hey, look what we're doing. We're doing.
It could be the Illuminati. It could be a tactic by lawyers, because I do know lawyers, when you have young men on trial, like young men, like 18, 19, 20, they will put them in larger suits than is right for their body size, because it makes them look smaller and it makes them look younger, and it makes it look like a kid wearing dad's suit. It's like, well, we're gonna punish
the kid.
It's just the image. So I wonder if the image was, because so many people questioned, was Lee Harvey Oswald the actual shooter?
Yeah.
Maybe if we dress him like that, we'll push that narrative. It could just be optics by the lawyer. It really could be. And I don't think that's I don't like how lawyers lawyer. Not a bad tactic, though.
Not a bad tactic. It's very interesting that I just want to throw this out. This is a side note, ADHD. Zach Bryan, the country singer,
Okay.
once got arrested, and he was like, I'm just a 27-year-old kid.
27-year-old kid.
That's his quote from the back of the cover. I'm like, that's kind of funny. That's a good way out of it. Like, I'm just a 27-year-old kid. Like, is that really like, let me go. I'm just 27. Like, you're kind of half age.
That's like my introduction. I should just say like former child.
Former child. Jack Drinker, former child. But getting back to that, it's interesting that we're bringing up names like Lee Harvey Oswald and, of course, his demise, which was Jack Ruby, who was probably influenced by Jolly West, who was in MK Ultra.
Yeah,
it's getting odd. The MK Ultra thing's getting odd. I don't know. Maybe they got Luigi with the Ultra.
They could have. Yeah.
With a side note to my next topic, though, why don't we hear anything about the guy that shot at Trump?
Yeah,
his name was Brooks, right? Was it?
I honestly don't remember.
We don't
How many
remember.
Presidential assassins do we not?
There was like 4 in all time, maybe 5 ever, and that's already last week's news.
I mean,
the president got shot. And
yeah, that was gone.
No one cares.
About the only one that I can't think of that pops into my head, and I can think of his background, though, because he's the weirdo that stalked Jodie Foster, the one that shot Reagan. What was his name?
I forget his name. It was always 3 names. Why was that?
It was
Alan Crooks, this guy was. Something Alan Crooks.
Something like that,
It was Crooks, I think. But you got the Lee Harvey Oswald, you got the John Wilkes Booth.
Mm-hmm.
The Reagan guy was a 3-namer. I do.
God, I can't remember his name though. Do you remember? I am right though. He did stalk Jodie Foster, right? Like he wrote like love letters to her.
He did. He was weird. They're all weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you have to dive down the weird hole to go to the point where it's like, I'm gonna assassinate a political figure,
and not just one, like a president.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
I feel like, it's maybe they should play more video games. Like, you don't start off on the main at the end level. You got to work your way up.
This dude, though, like this Crooks guy. So the Trump assassination attempt, we're going to call this guy Crooks. I think that's his name. If it's not, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
This guy.
Not the media.
Not the media. They definitely don't care. So this is what's crazy. I remember I was at Aldi shopping. And I got called like 8 times by different people frantically. Like, Trump's been shot. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I remember you texting me.
Actually. I texted you. I was like on the ball. I was like one of the first people like, holy fuck. Like,
yeah.
I was, a little very concerned actually. Almost forgot to buy the knockoff Fruity Pebbles. But still remembered, thankfully. But Trump gets shot, which is the craziest headline of the decade. Let's be honest. Trump really shot is like the craziest thing ever, because this guy is half the country is behind this guy.
Right.
He's the most iconic probably person in our time.
If someone had fired a gun and not even come close to the injuries that Trump had, someone had fired a gun at an Obama rally, they'd still be talking about it.
He'd be on every single interview you could ever imagine. He'd be given these awards. I can't even imagine the news they would milk out of that. But Trump gets shot, and then the details start coming out. And tragically, some people died. Guy with kids and a wife behind him.
He was a firefighter, right? A retired firefighter? One of those.
Going to a Trump rally, being a patriot, American first. You think you're going to a rally in rural PA, Butler, PA.
Yeah, not far from here.
And an assassination attempt goes off where like 8 shots get off before anything even gets stopped. Now, here's what's odd. The Secret Service, the head of the Secret Service, stepped down immediately after. But before she did, her justification was it was a sloped roof.
Yeah.
So we couldn't have anyone on that roof because it was sloped. Now, if you believe that malarkey, shout out Joe Biden. If you believe that, this guy was seen walking around this rally with a rangefinder.
Yeah.
And people are like, what's he doing? And the cops did nothing.
They did nothing, yeah.
So whatever you want to believe, I don't know, but it seems odd, and maybe it's just divine intervention that it only shot the cartilage of his ear, but how unlikely is that if he had his head turned a little bit?
Yeah, it was a split second,
In another timeline, in an alternate timeline, Trump's head blew up like a tomato, and we're all at war now.
I was going to say, we're at war.
And China invaded us because Kamala Harris was laughing about income tax.
Well, because she was drinking her Jack and Cokes, too. And
imagine, Kamala, you're in. She would instantly pop 3 Xanax in a bottle of wine. She goes, I didn't fucking want this, dude.
Yeah, you go from being a common prostitute for a mayor. And
that's the American dream, though, I will say. One day you might be the president.
Or lose to one.
I never lost to the president.
I was never a main eventer in politics.
I never had Beyonce open for me, and I probably never will. And I probably can never say that I was almost the president. She could still be the president right now.
Yeah.
You know that. We are in a timeline where Biden could, they give him the fucking, what do they call it? What the Nazis have in their teeth. Cyanide. They give him the cyanide and his cream of wheat, and for like 4 days, she's the president. Could happen. Could happen.
It's not as if they're very honest with us now. I mean, who's to say she's actually not the president?
I would say.
I mean, we all kind of, I shouldn't say we all, but there's so many people that don't actually believe that the president is actually in charge of anything anyways.
It's like a figurehead.
Yeah.
But this one's the most grandiose testing of our intelligence. Like Joe Biden, let me paint it this way, and I painted it this way before. If Joe Biden was my grandfather and he worked his whole life and he turned 65, I would say, it's time to come home, Grandpa. And I would hang out with them and we would have a good life. We'd go fishing and we would talk. And then imagine 10 years later, at 75, he goes, I want to be the president of the United States. I'd be like, Grandpa, you can't work at Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
You can't drive.
You struggle with the remote.
You know what I'm saying? And imagine that. And he's 83 now?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, why are you running the country? I wouldn't let you run Family Dollar. Imagine if he ran Family Dollar.
Yeah.
Where are the raisins? What?
Yeah.
Raisins. I pissed myself. Like, what are you, like, what? He's running the free world right now.
My favorite was
kind of weird.
The day he got inaugurated. Because they had the earpiece in, which is a common. All presidents do. They have the earpiece
eggnog.
They have the earpiece in, so they're talked to. And he walked up to the Marines, and they clearly told him in the earpiece, "Salute the Marines," which he's supposed to. And he looks right at the Marine and goes, "Salute the Marines."
Hilarious.
That was right. That's day one. That was literally. I think that was hour one of him being president.
It was.
It's like,
I was that
wow.
Day. Trump and Biden, whether you like them or hate them politically, they are very funny. Like, if they just did comedy tours, like if Biden came out on a microphone.
They're going to do a movie.
Dude, I would go. If Biden was at the Cultural Center in Scranton, I'd watch it. I was the president of the country.
You know what?
I'd watch.
I never thought about this.
Funny.
I never thought about it. There's an older movie. It's not that old. But anyways, there's a movie called My Fellow Americans. And they're both former presidents that ran against each other. But they're running for like, I don't know, like governor or like or mayor of this town or something like that. But like they get thwarted by somebody's like vice president. But the vice president's a total dumbass because he has the best line ever because the vice president like reveals like his evil master plan. He goes, "You guys fell for it all. It's just a big facade." He says like, "You are a dumbass.
It's just a facade." That's hilarious.
It's like you are the dumbass. And like they were a Democrat and Republican and a former president working together to like thwart this plan. Like it's a funny, stupid movie. It's like from the 90s called My Fellow Americans.
People would never let someone like, let's say, as unqualified as a comedian ever run a country though. Like, you know, like and
especially in like a Eastern European setting.
I know. We would never do that. And we would never
just instill them too.
We would never just like what if there was a show, like a TV show, where this guy played the president. And then the government of the country actually said, let's make this guy the president.
Yeah.
And then the big world power gave this comedian tons of money to have regime change in Russia.
Yeah.
That would never happen.
That'd be wild.
And what if this guy like notoriously wore like layman's clothing instead of like a suit?
Suit, yeah.
Because he's like
relatable. An elegant Fetterman.
Yeah, Fetterman. How about him? His stroke wound is healing up, and he goes, "We need to secure the border now."
Yeah,
like he's like a Trump guy now.
I wonder how many of them are riding the way. Like they see, I don't want to say the light at the end of the tunnel, but they see they can either get on board or they can get run over. So even if it's not 100% honest, maybe the guys like Fetterman and other ones are like, yeah, I'll walk behind this MAGA wagon for a little while. You know, I don't have to.
You say that.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because I want to bring that up. Now, Obama being friendly with Trump is not a clear indication of Obama becoming, let's say, MAGA.
Right. Yeah.
But what I will say is there is a plethora of people coming over to MAGA that were Democrats, all walks of life. Different industries like the tech industry, crypto, These things aren't normal. I will say
No,
it's
they're
not
not.
normal for the Republican Party to be the party of Ted Cruz and the Bushes, to turn into like certain minority groups coming over and certain tech industries coming over and certain Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, a Kennedy.
Yeah.
These are weird times. And I think you're seeing the abandonment of left and right, Democrat, Republican. I think there's going to be a MAGA party. I told you about this. And with that MAGA party, you're going to see certain people changing their tune. And in very recent times, we've seen a big tune changer, which is Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, yeah.
So to tie it all back to our first conversation of 2020 election, where Trump was a violent causer of the insurrection, his account got banned, to now Mark Zuckerberg putting public statements of him bowing down to Trump, saying we're going to get rid of fact checkers, we're moving to Austin, California's too woke, no trans icons on Facebook. What's going on?
Yeah, it makes me wonder, is it genuine or is it I see what's on the horizon, and I can either make my moves now or I can get run over. And I will say, if it's a genuine thing, people are allowed to change their opinions. When he first ran, I was a never Trumper. I was like, I don't trust this dude. There's no way. I will never, ever vote for this celebrity.
A lot of people were like
that. In 4 years, it was like, okay, I get it. I get it now. And I was like, nah, he's got my vote.
Yeah. Now, I want to believe that, but what I truly believe, in the fashion of Zuckerberg, he's a smart guy, very smart guy. He doesn't want to be bullied, and he wants his comfortable life.
Yeah,
he got bullied by the Biden administration and prior, to take down any post that made Biden look bad and spread any post that made Biden look good, and to take down any post that made Trump look good.
Yeah. It looked like he was strong-armed into being a propaganda wing.
He was directly talking to that administration and the government and the intelligence. If this story comes out, take it down. It makes Biden look bad. This story makes Trump look good. Get rid of it. This story makes Trump look horrible. Put it to the top.
Yep.
And Zuckerberg just admitted that on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, he was just on.
Which is the biggest podcast of all time. Helped Trump get elected.
Yeah.
This guy is pleading for forgiveness. He goes, Trump, I messed up. I did things that were illegal. Please spare me. That's what I saw.
It very well could be like, this is my chance to jump ship to save myself. It could be, I think there's a lot of echo chambers. And that's true for any position you take. If you're a Star Wars fan, Star Wars is the greatest Star Wars ever. If you're a Star Trek fan, though, Star Trek is the greatest ever. So I think we're going to see a lot of stuff, speaking of sci-fi and Hollywood in general, they just got woken up, because I think for the longest time, they're like, nobody likes the Orange Man. Orange Man bad. Nobody likes it. Everybody likes, everybody likes a diverse, we want to race swap and gender swap every single character and change everything up. And they just saw this man win in basically a landslide with the popular and the electoral votes. And I think everyone from social media to Hollywood is sitting back going, maybe that's why everything has not been making money like we thought it would. Maybe we need to shift gears. So maybe some of it is a genuine of like, you know what? I don't have to worry about Democrat operatives coming around and telling me what to do. Now I can be who I want to be and support this. Or it could just be, you know what? That's the popular opinion, and I want to make money. So I'm just going to pander to that. It could go different ways.
I think the left had the strong arm on virtually everything for a very long time. They had the movie industry.
They still do. Like
it's fleeting though. It is fleeting.
It is.
You tried your greatest A-list celebrity musicians for Kamala. It did not work. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're seeing it not work. Hollywood's kind of done. These streaming platforms are kind of taking over. I don't know if anyone's still watching late night comics anymore, but I hope not.
I don't know how that stuff is still on.
The View is laughable now. All these mainstream media that predicted Kamala winning in a landslide were completely wrong, and if they weren't If they weren't credible before, they're not credible now. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't get better. Nobody trusts CNN more.
I don't know how, even Fox, CNN and Fox, I don't know how they're still in business other than like when you go to Planet Fitness or you go to the hospital, nobody's watching them, but they're on the TV. And I wonder if they're like, oh, look, all these TVs are watching. It's like, no, they're on, but there's nobody watching them.
No one's watching. And if they are, they no offense, it's just it's factual. They'll be dead soon. The people that like those things, they will be dead soon. And
well, it's the changing of the times. They're talking about stopping. They're not going to teach analog clocks in school anymore because that's based off of the old school sundial, which we don't use sundials anymore. And now we use digital clocks. And it's like, okay, so eventually printed books, it might be 100 years from now, printed books will probably be gone because it's all digital.
Probably.
You know, stuff is going to change. But you're right, though. Like the media, it's the last dinosaur after the meteor hit. Like it's trying to live, but it might make it a little bit longer, but it's going to go extinct.
It's like the horse. Great. Thank you for everything. You did a great job. But if you can't see, if you're the last horseshoer saying, those machines are going to take my jobs and I'm hanging on to traditionalism, I'm going to keep shoeing horses, goodbye, my friend.
Yeah, you're going to be out of business.
Either you adapt or die.
Yeah.
Evolve or perish. I'm sorry. But no one wants to see a suit or a very hot blonde with red lipstick telling you why we need to go over to the Middle East and defend democracy. We don't care anymore. We want to see regular people talk openly like this. Podcast is the new way.
Yeah.
We know that. That's what helped Trump win.
It absolutely.
And mainstream media is dead. I'm sorry. You fired Tucker. You got rid of all these people that now are doing far better without you. Like the mainstream media they're not needed anymore.
Which makes me wonder. I wonder what if, Trump could make the news great again if he all of a sudden had a channel where he's like, all right, here's your nightly host, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson,
TNN.
You know what I'm talking about?
Trump News Network.
If he put them in, would that be enough to revive it? I don't know if those guys would ever go for it. Now, if they're smart, they wouldn't. Stay away from that. You're jumping back onto a sinking ship. You're already in the lifeboat and you're doing well. Stay there.
But then you got Musk contemplating buying MSNBC and all that. Like, I don't know. And this is what we wanted to get into, and we're going to get into this topic here. With all that being said, now, granted, I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times, I said it before. Do I think Donald Trump is the greatest person to ever walk the earth, a role model, a savior? No. It goes without being said. No one should think that. Never meet your idols. Dr. Seuss used to smoke a bunch of Marlboros. You know, it doesn't mean the books weren't great. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have a Dr. Seuss day. Trump's not the best, but he's the best of the two options. He's the best we got right now, whether you like it or not.
Listen, anybody can do great things. You don't have to be a great person to do a great thing.
No.
You know what I mean? An average Joe step up all the time.
The art should not be judged by the artist.
I agree, yes.
Like, I love this painting, but who made it? Did he was he a vegan or not? Because if he wasn't a vegan, I don't like that painting. Shut up. You like the painting or what?
I used to have that problem with Hollywood, like watching movies, because you'd hear, and I think I just heard, I think it was Joe Rogan that even said it, like the worst thing that actors have ever done is voice their opinion.
Yes.
Just act. And
that's your job.
It got hard there for a little bit, at least for me, because I would hear these opinions and then I'd see them in their roles. I was just like, I don't want to watch this movie. I got no common ground with this guy. Yeah. Well, I don't need common ground with that guy because that's not the guy. That's a character in a completely fictional story. And you're allowed to appreciate the character and how they're portrayed. Like, I don't care what their politics are, but let's face it, Tom Hanks, great actor. Tom Cruise, great actor. Their politics might not be what I agree with, but they are phenomenal at their craft, and they should be appreciated for what they do. They can shut up when they're off camera, but when they're on camera, I like what they do. And it took a long time for me to get there, and I agree 100%. don't judge the art by the artist.
Separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
Like, I know Robert De Niro is a total libby.
Yeah.
He's a little much with it. Like, he's actually kind of toxic with it. But I love his movies.
He is great.
Same thing. You said Tom Cruise, Scientologist. I'm not a Scientologist. You said Tom Hanks, pedophile from Epstein Island.
Possibly,
true,
yeah.
Probably true, but do I like Castaway? Yes.
Castaway.
I like Woody from Toy Story, right?
Apollo 13, one of the best movies. I had my
Saving Private Ryan.
Great movie. I had my child watch Apollo 13. I was like, this is based on a true story. Captivated. Sat there the whole time, didn't touch the phone once. Yeah. And it's impossible to get kids off their phone.
Yeah.
Sat there the whole time. Eyes locked on the screen.
Yeah, and the moon landing movie was based off the first moon landing movie that was fake. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. He's a captivating actor.
Because when you watched it, you're like, that's not Tom Hanks. That's Jim Lovell.
Yes.
He did such a good job with it.
And that's why great actors are separated from the not great actors, because they play a part, not The Rock or Kevin Hart that plays The Rock and Kevin Hart in every movie.
Yes.
You actually know Leonardo DiCaprio is not the person in that movie. Like, I believe that he's somebody else in The Revenant than he is in the Titanic. Like, he's a great actor. The Rock, he could be in anything. He's still The Rock because he's a fake actor. And there's room for fake actors like running Ukraine and things like that. There's room for them, but not in great movies.
And that's a funny thing too, because like there are some actors that they're essentially the same character in every movie, just with a different name. Famously, and I'm going to bump
Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, like they're all Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion,
but like
Lizzo.
The one that comes to mind is Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's Brad Pitt every movie, but everybody likes Brad Pitt, so it's okay. It's Brad Pitt can get away with it, and I don't even know his politics because I don't pay attention. I try not to pay attention to that stuff anymore. But a Brad Pitt, a Tom Cruise, a Tom Hanks, a Leo. They can say their stuff, and it's kind of like, okay, shut up. Whatever, just get back to acting. But you get a lower level celebrity like, what's her name, Kathy Griffin?
Yeah.
And you voice up, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to.
You're cancel. Go to hell.
Like, yeah, you don't have you can't stand next to this level of greatness and talk like that. Like, you need to be quiet and just act or tell jokes or whatever you do.
Who knows? She's unemployed now. She's sitting at home. Go to hell. It's funny that the left, and I hate to make fun of the left so much, but they are a little weak. Like, they can't meme well, and their arguments are odd because they're like, look, the actors like us, like they enjoy us. It's like they're supportive. You know what their job is?
Yeah.
To lie. They're acting.
They're strippers that keep their clothes on.
You think
they want you to like them.
It's like, wow, well, the guy that lies for a living likes you. Well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Maybe he's acting.
Yeah, maybe he wants your money.
I'll tell you what's weird. All those actors, you know what they are? The Republicans.
Yeah.
At heart and on their tax returns. But publicly, they care about the environment. They don't have a private jet.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have 5 mansions. They're very humanitarian.
It almost seems like crappy parenting when you think about it. It'd be like me sipping a Jack and Coke and telling my child, you should drink alcohol. Bad for you.
Causes cancer.
Yeah. You know how bad alcohol is for you?
Smoking's not good for you. You puff a big Marlboro.
Yeah. It's like, okay,
it is funny.
You're not wrong. Alcohol is bad for you, but it's a little bit hard to take you seriously when I watch you drink it. And it's like,
what you preach, baby.
Yeah. So when you say climate change is terrible, okay, I'll allow you to say that. But it's hard for me to hear you say that and then 10 minutes later watch you get on your private jet.
Yeah. Swifties out there. Do you care? Do you care if she pollutes more than any other celebrity? She does. She flies to see her boyfriend play a game, and then she does a show in Hong Kong.
Well, then she had
wild,
she got a cease and desist on the one dude that was tracking her flights. Did you ever see that?
I did see that.
I don't think he was doing it. Yeah, I don't think he was doing it to like stalk her. Like, I don't think he was like a crazy, like, I don't think he was like in love with her. I think he just did it to be like, look what this woman does. Like, she flies all over the place.
You
like,
can't talk about her. She's a valuable speaker of the ideology.
Yes.
Do you think she's attractive, Taylor Swift?
Physically?
Well, I don't know if you know her personality too well, do you?
I don't really.
I'm saying probably just look.
Well, I mean, I've never like watched interviews with her, but like if I was walking down the street and she was walking the other way, I'd look and be like, "That's an attractive woman."
Yeah, she's not bad.
Yeah,
just wanted to say that. I just want to get that out there. She's not bad, but like I do not want to give too much time to Taylor Swift on the show, but she's writing the journals of like a 15-year-old girl into her 30s, and it's still working. Like it's still working. Like it's the ramblings of a 15-year-old girl in a diary, and it's working. And I don't get it. Like she's bigger than the Beatles. She's bigger than the Stones. Like she's bigger than Zeppelin. Like she's bigger than anyone we could even think of. Like she makes Kiss and Van Halen look like nothing.
I don't get it. Obviously, it's working for her. So
good for
all
her.
the shit that I can talk. If she ever accidentally sees this video, she'll be like, "This guy can get fucked."
And we happily will. Just know that we exist.
Yeah. So
you're like a demigod here.
I don't really. I mean, I've had to listen to her music.
Yeah.
I don't hate Taylor Swift, but I definitely am not going to go out of my way to listen to her stuff. But it does almost. I mean, she at least seems genuine like her fame seems genuine as opposed to somebody like Mr. Beast, who his fame does not feel genuine.
And to keep it to music in this regard, I much rather young girls hear Taylor Swift than like Cardi B. Like
I agree.
And as much as I shit on Taylor Swift, I still thank you for giving these girls confidence and things like that.
Yeah.
And being an honest poet, not saying wet ass blank. So as bad as I am shitting on her, she's still cool in my books. I just don't.
I don't think she's a terrible role model. Yeah.
I don't understand how you're bigger than the Beatles. I don't understand how you're bigger than Motley Crue. I don't get it. But
you know why?
I don't get it doesn't mean it's not real.
You know why? Because when you were 8 years old and you wanted a Beatles record, your parents said, "No, I got to work a week to afford that record." Yeah. Now when you're 8 years old and you want a Taylor Swift song, it costs 99 cents and dad can do it from the other room on his phone and you have it.
Yeah. And maybe because we're men and we looked up to dudes doing cocaine, playing guitar with girls in bikinis.
Yeah.
Like that was our thing. Girls, they don't like that.
Yeah,
there's no boy bands anymore. So you need to find there's no boy bands.
Yeah, that's
Jonas Brothers like Meyer, but they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they're gone.
Now it's like girls are the boy bands for other girls. If you think about it, Taylor Swift is the epitome of boy band for girls, and I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, very well could be. That's an excellent point.
If you're listening, we love you.
You should come on the show.
You should come on the show. So Taylor Swift somehow segues back to Donald Trump, and not many people could do it, but here on Midnight Therapy we could. So, as we brought up earlier, we don't mind Trump. Mm-hmm. We kind of like Trump. We don't like everything about Trump, but we like what he stands for mostly. And that's why he is the president now, and that's why he is becoming, I would say, even popular.
I would agree. I think he's got that momentum. I think it's building.
There is an energy behind the guy. I hate to say it. When you went through what he went through, and I'm going to say something about him, I do think he's the most resilient man I've ever seen in my life. Because if people talked about me like that every day, I'd probably kill myself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that guy on trial, this allegation, that allegation, his hair is stupid, he's orange skin.
Oh, he's fat. He's a fat. It's
and everyone's saying it. And you're in the
every day
of social media and that mainstream media. I'd be like, I'm done here. I'm checking out, man.
Do you remember? Like, I don't know if you ever had it happen. Like a coworker says something negative. And it just stings. It's like it's stuck. Like I've had times where somebody said something, even in the Army, where they like, "Oh, you fucked up on this, you did that." It's just like it eats you for a little while. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Everybody nitpicking everything from the bottom of your shoes to the top of your hair.
Yeah.
Every word out of your mouth, every action you perform, everything constantly, nonstop, every day, and he's still up there like, yeah. Come get some.
I don't know what that is. Like, I hear that he doesn't sleep much. The guy is almost 80. He barely sleeps. He does He did 8 rallies a day. The guy's built different. I'll tell you that.
He really is. Like, and he can just get up there and speak off. He does. I mean, I know he's got the teleprompters, but I doubt
he's barely using it.
Yeah, he did. There's like talking points on there.
He goes off prompt all the time. He's like, "Fuck this." He's like, "Let's talk a little."
I wonder how many times there's like red exclamation points that pop up, like "Get back on topic." They're like, "Please get back on topic."
Like, and I'm telling you, like, I know a lot of older people, and the old adage is true. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's very hard to help the older people figure out this modern world. And that's why I have a lot of sympathy and empathy for older people, because it's a very strange world.
And it's going to be for us eventually.
It is. Yeah. Like if you're 80 and you try to say, yo, grandpa, you have no riz, he's going to say, what?
Yeah.
He doesn't get that. But Trump, to go on podcasts and to understand that at almost 80, he's a different breed, man. Yeah, he's really willing. Maybe that's his business background. Maybe that's the art of the deal.
It could be, yeah.
Who knows? But regardless, enough of his personality and traits was likable to majority of the country.
Yeah.
Not saying everything. Just so you all know, we're not saying he's the Messiah. We're not saying he's the chosen one. We're not saying, but he's the better candidate, and he won.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I like him. You like him. A lot of people like him. We both have the foresight and the history in our brains and the knowledge of history in our brains to know that this could go wrong quick. So I'd like to bring that up because I do see something happening here. And it's very dangerous. Trump himself, now that he has lost and won again, so he was a president, he won again, against all odds, came back. He has this momentum behind him that I don't know could be stopped. Yeah. He has Zuckerberg behind him, which is number one influencer on social media, which was not the case 8 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case last month. He has Musk behind him, which, granted, is making rockets.
Mm-hmm.
He has Neuralink. He has
Tesla. He's got
the Boring Company. He has what's the Wi-Fi that could go all over the world?
That's the Starlink.
Starlink.
Yeah.
He has freaking everything. This guy's going to propel us into the next millennium, maybe way earlier than expected. He has crypto on his side, which should not be negated. Even if you don't understand it, it's something.
Nobody understands crypto.
Nobody understands it, but it's going to be something. I know that. He has Democrats coming over. He has minority groups coming over. He has certain women coming over. This guy has control of the Senate, the courts, the House. He has an insane cabinet. That's almost unlimited power. Now, giving unlimited power to anyone, even if you like them, has a lot of cons. Because it may be good for you now, but once someone you don't like has unlimited power, you don't like it, right? You don't want anyone to have unlimited power. Well, that's why we have this country.
That was always our warning to the Democrats when they kept trying to give Obama more and more and more authority.
Yes.
And I believe, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure someone will fact check this, it's a great quote, and I think it's a Richard Nixon quote, and that is that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
100% true. Absolute power does corrupt absolutely, and here's why it's a problem. Trump, very different man, very different breed, as we said. He is coming back with a vengeance, I would say.
Yeah.
Rightfully so in some regards. They did try to make his life a living hell, and he did almost die in an assassination. So, of course, he's going to be a little mad. This is why the level-headed, middle-of-the-road people were telling you, stop going after Trump. Stop the witch hunts. Stop abusing your powers against your political opponents.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't like it done against you. Now, this man is in the position to do all that. Will he? We don't know. But we understand why he will if he does.
And it's a scary thing to understand that the people that would be on our quote unquote side would be okay with him breaking the rules and doing some of the things the left did to get even.
Yes.
And I'm not one of those people. I don't think you're one of those people.
I'm not.
I don't think that it would be right to fabricate another Russian hoax level thing to go after Biden, to go after Fauci, to go after who. If it's a legitimate thing, okay. But I'm not okay with taking it like what they did and pumping it full of steroids and going after them the same way. But there's some that would be okay with that.
And that's what I want to say. This is what I always try to say lightly, but it's very hard to say. There are people on the left that have no idea what's going on. There are people on the right that have no idea what's going on. They believe in their ideologies like a cult, and they are almost level, if not right under God to them. Some people love the left, some people love the right, and they'll follow them to no end. And you've seen it on both sides. But I think most people, I've always been a Republican. I love Trump. I will always love Trump. Yeah. I've always been a Democrat. I love the Democrats. I will always be a Democrat. Blue no matter who, no matter what. That's dangerous when you have someone like Trump.
It is.
Because he's very charismatic, he's very funny, and he's very likable if you have the same values.
Well, yeah.
Now, did Trump cause that insurrection on January 6th? To be determined by you. I would say no, in reference to I don't think he had mind control.
You're right.
If Marilyn Manson influenced the Columbine shooters, which they did accuse him of, I don't think Marilyn Manson should go to jail because his song made those guys. The song didn't make those guys do. Trump didn't mind control those people to serve the Capitol. And if you can do that, then we're in for a big problem because I could say Taylor Swift made me cheat on my wife.
Yeah.
And she needs to be held accountable.
Yeah.
Because now I have to pay child support. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't go down that slippery slope because it's not real.
Yeah.
Trump made them do it with my... No, you can't say that. Now, can there be other situations where Trump suggests things and people believe it? I think so. And that's a real concern.
And especially now, they could take it out of context, which is what the media loves to do with everybody all the time anyways. But especially if we get to the point where it's like, okay, it's time to deport.
Yeah.
If there ends up being, which I'm going to already predict, there's going to be violence against minorities, the media is going to come out and say it's Trump's fault because 100%. He's motivated people. No, he didn't motivate violence. I can already tell you, he's not going to get up there and say, "You go find your local Mexican and kick him in the face." He's not going to say that. It's not going to happen. Never. He wants them to be removed or sent back. Somebody else, for whatever reason, is going to get violent, and they're going to say, "Well, that's the same as." No, it's not. There's not really a correlation here, but I can already see it's going to happen.
I see that too. And I see man-made, fabricated, you could call it a psyop, whatever you want to call it. I could see this already being done where you turn people against people.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
they did it 4 years ago.
They did do it 4 years ago. And granted, I don't even have to get into this with you because you already know. The Jan 6 thing would take 5 podcasts to cover.
Yeah.
But all the evidence came out, the files came out, the videos came out. I see more and more every day. There were intelligence agencies involved in Jan 6 posing as Trump supporters and kind of being the shepherds, kind of leading the sheep in and suggesting they should go in and they ought to go in. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It was a great psyop. It
clearly worked.
It worked awesome. That's why people despise Trump. They think, I see people saying that the Jan 6 thing was right up there with 9/11. Like I hear them say it. They go, that was the darkest day in U.S. history.
Oh, yeah.
That's the View. They said that. It worked. It did its thing, but not really. It worked on the people it had to work on. It didn't work on the people middle and the people leaning right.
Yeah, I don't think it really brought a lot of people over. For every one that it brought over, there were others that were like, oh, this doesn't make sense.
100%.
I'm not right there. So I think it was and I don't have the numbers to back it up. I'm only basing it off my own personal views, which obviously is biased. But I think it was overall probably a wash of what you gained and what you lost there. But you're right. It worked on the side it was supposed to work on. And it motivated them.
You know, like Red Lobster and Red Robin, they're targeting who they want.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying, well, we got the double beef and cheddar with the deluxe. Like, I'm not going to go, but your regulars are going to say, did you see that? We got the 2-for-1 on the rice. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. If Red Lobster knows what they're doing, our government knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They know what they're doing. Audience out there, I'm telling you, if Red Lobster knows how to get you in there for the endless apps, our government knows how to create an insurrection. And they did, whether you want to believe it or not. If it was a real insurrection, they would have brought guns.
Yeah.
Let me. No one's saying this, but I'm going to say it. If it was a real insurrection, when you have a picnic, you bring the tablecloth and the fork, and when it's an insurrection, you bring a gun. You bring weapons.
That's been my argument for a while, that the party that is pro-gun just forgot all their guns to the planned insurrection. Are you kidding me?
They had flags, and the guy had a buffalo helmet, and if he didn't ruin it, I would have one. I wanted one of those helmets for a while, those buffalo hats. Now I can't wear one.
I will say, I'm not going to lie, not that I endorse trespassing on government property, not that I endorse stealing of government property.
Yes.
But one of the coolest pictures ever is the dude walking out with the podium on his shoulder. Like, it was a meme,
but it's kind of funny. But but I just want you all to know, like, you all grew up in this country, correct? Or most of you, or you, if you didn't, you learned about this country in class or in some sort of education. You know what this country's founded on? Overthrowing the government.
Yeah.
So, like, is this really that odd to you that we stormed a building? That's this whole country. Why do you think we celebrate the 4th of July? Like, it's storming a capital, in other words, and overthrowing the government for better things. So, I don't endorse Jan 6, but don't think that's super crazy. Well, that's kind of what made this country.
That's one of those perfect examples of the history is written by the victors.
Yeah.
They won, and they got, even on January 6th, you can say they won that too, because they took the Capitol back from the insurrectionists. So those people there, and everyone associated with it, lost.
Yeah.
So their narrative doesn't count. It doesn't matter. Their motivation doesn't matter. We don't need to hear that. All we need to hear about is the brave congressmen and senators that nearly lost their lives to those murderous, terrible individuals that almost overthrew our entire country. But thank God they failed.
And social media and the media and all these companies jumped on board because they knew they had 4 years of Joe Biden, that they were safe.
That's a hell of a buffer.
It's a good buffer to throw those people under the bus. But now you're seeing the change in the tides.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg goes, well, now we have 4 years of Trump. Maybe I'm going to change my tune a bit.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, is it a genuine? Has it, after 4 years, he's like, I'm tired of being strong-armed. I'm tired of this nonsense. I can breathe. You know what? This guy's saying some stuff that I like. Is it a genuine thing, or is it I want to keep my platform making money? I'm going to pop over to the popular side.
Could be a mix of both.
It could be a mix of both.
That's why Musk probably jumped over.
It very well could be. False motivation is better than no motivation, I guess.
I agree with that. Now, like we said, Trump does have a decent monopoly. Now, Trump, if he's playing the game of chess, he's sitting good right now.
He's sitting real good, yeah.
My problem is, could it go too far? And this is why I always look ahead. Negative visualization. It's very helpful. It's a stoic tactic. Could Trump go too far? What reasons would I have to believe that he could go too far? Well, number one, he has control of almost everything at this point, and he has a vengeance. Now, do we have any indication that he might be going too far? Yeah, and it's kind of comical, but it's also kind of real. What do you think about Greenland, Panama Canal, and maybe Canada being part of the U.S.? This is a little odd.
I think it's an interesting talk, and I think it's the art of the deal. Because we're talking about Canada, you should join. Greenland, we're going to make you a state. Panama, we're going to take you back. I don't know if that's necessarily his goal, because, and I can relate this to, I went through a very ugly divorce and custody battle, and I have primary custody of my daughter. And I remember my ex-wife's lawyer, right before we got into court, trying to get us to settle right before we went in, he goes, what if we just do 50-50 custody? And I looked right at him and said, if you're already willing to go down to 50-50, it's because you know you'll settle for less. Ooh. So is it, I want Greenland to be a state, or do I want them to be a territory? Do I want them to be a protectorate and 100% on ours? You don't have to be a state. And if you think about Canada, their conservatives are still very liberal to ours. Do we really want to soak in another couple 100 million liberals?
No.
Do we really want them throwing off the electoral college?
He's throwing a damn high offer at first.
He's
throwing it out. Oh, we can come down.
Okay, don't be a state. But maybe a territory that doesn't vote in our elections, you're still autonomous. You can still do your thing, but everything you do, you got to clear it with me.
Freaking love that.
But you got our protection. And I wonder if that's where he's at. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is where he is at. Because like I said, I'm shooting for the stars, and you're already saying, "Man, I'm a lukewarm to that." Well, if you're lukewarm to that, that means you're warm to that, and we can find somewheres in the middle.
Me and my father, we were antique pickers. Like we were always buying and selling.
Yes.
And when we wanted to sell some, if we wanted $50 for it, we weren't pricing at 50. We priced it at 80.
Yeah,
we would
you
come
talk
down
me down
to 50.
Yep.
You don't start it where you want to sell it because you could always go down. You can't go up, though.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. So I'm like, how about you be a state? Well, that ain't going to work, but how about a territory?
Yeah.
Trudeau stepped down, which is odd.
Yeah, but I read that that's a weird thing. Right? I'm not up on Canadian politics. Him stepping down, doesn't it deadlocks their version of Congress for 3 years?
What do they call it? The Parliament.
Parliament. And
weird Britain thing.
So it deadlocks them. And I think the hope is in the 3 years, his party will have the votes again, and he's going to try and come back in. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
He's kind of done. That Canadian trucker thing, he corrected a woman once because she said mankind. He goes, it's person kind. That kind of ruins you.
Well,
I hate to say it.
I mean, I'm sure he'll do okay in Cuba. I'm sure he can go back to his father's estate.
Yeah, he is Fidel Castro's son.
Have you ever seen those pictures? Like it's almost hard to argue. Like it started off as a meme, but you see a picture of Trudeau next to Castro, and it's almost like, I do love conspiracy theories, but that's where I'm like, yeah, that's very probably your dad. I will never say definitively because of course I don't know.
We don't know.
But that looks like Castro.
We're just a podcast. Speaking of Trudeau, just to throw it out there, I like giving random facts randomly on this show at times. Trudeau did blackface.
Yes.
I'll put the picture up. You know who else did? Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I remember that. He played Karl Malone.
And Oprah Winfrey he played. It was Oprah Winfrey. Okay. He did that too. Kind of fun.
And you know what, though? At the time, it was comical. It was funny.
Yeah, he was the host of The Man Show.
Yeah, I remember that. It was Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla, right?
Yeah. And now he's like the voice of progressive leftism. He cried with
I was going to say he's the crying voice of that stuff. Yeah,
isn't that interesting? Just to let you know.
Yeah, I like my comedians to be funny. I don't need them to come out and cry on live TV.
Yeah, that's not a good sell, but to the audience it is. His audience probably like that.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, sure. That audience is not watching this show, so who cares?
No.
So let's hope Trump doesn't go too far and invade the world and be a little dark MAGA. We don't want dark MAGA.
No.
But we're going to be optimistic. But we are telling you here first, it could go bad. And if it does, we'll call it out. But he has all the ingredients to go bad.
Yeah.
It's just Willie. And if he doesn't, he should be remembered as the greatest president of all time.
Yeah.
With Hillary, could have put her in jail for the emails, did not. If he doesn't go nuts and seek vengeance, he was a good guy. Yeah. And all those people you thought were good guys really weren't. And Trump will probably be remembered in good fortune in future generations. He was a cool guy. Like we kind of look back on Reagan.
Right.
It's going to be that. If he does go vengeful, we'll be here. We have freedom of speech. We're going to call it out. And I have faith in America that we won't go crazy. But we are telling you here, it is possible and it is plausible.
Yeah. I remember I spoke out when he came out in favor of the bump stock ban. I don't have a bump stock. I think bump stocks are garbage. You know what I'm talking about? The bump stocks?
Oh, yeah.
I thought they're garbage. But to outlaw them, I thought that was a step in the wrong direction. I called it right out. And I remember all the people that were supposedly pro 2A saying like, well, bump stocks suck anyways. It's like, that's not the point. That's not the point.
That's not the point. You're restricting a freedom.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's like if tragically, God forbid, a shooting happened with a revolver, you're not going to ban revolvers, are you?
Right, yeah.
It's one of those, it's principle.
Yeah.
And I get it. I don't like everything he does.
No.
Trump doesn't drink. I drank a little.
Yeah. I heard that's because, was it his father or his brother?
He's a big alcoholic.
Really?
Yeah, Trump doesn't do anything. He doesn't drink. And it's cool. I see him drink chocolate milk and stuff. Like, I swear, like, people be drinking him get a chocolate milk, and I like that. I'm just saying, every freaking view doesn't have to align with somebody.
Can you imagine, though? Like, back during World War II, you got called in front of, like, the president or Churchill, who famously drank all the time, talked to his generals, be drinking and he might have to talk down to someone because they messed up.
Yeah.
And now Trump, going to call him in, he's going to talk down to you as he sips on his straw of chalky milk.
Like a curly straw. Think about that. Maybe he blows a little bubble.
It's a bubble.
While
Like
he's
the kids, remember? Yeah.
You're a loser. You messed up.
Yeah.
Bubble. Kind of funny. I don't know. He loves Diet Cokes and he loves Big Macs. So do I.
Yeah.
So we could agree on that.
Yep.
Trump's the funnest president ever. Like, he's fun.
Because he seems much more like a real person.
Because he is. He's a New York businessman. He's all of us.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a pompous, like, Harvard lawyer. He had all that money, but he was still, like, in the trenches, trying to make money. He was just trying to. He was around Victoria's Secret. He did that. He was a guy. He was a guy's guy.
Yeah.
You know, like the Barbie movie. Did you watch that?
No, I think I saw parts of it.
There's a whole part where it's like the toxic male, like Ken, like figured out toxic masculinity, and it was like Stallone, and like it was like, and like Trump is that. Like, he's like, got a burger, golfing, rich, Golden Tower, Victoria's Secret. Like, he's that, and like we all secretly kind of like it.
Well, you know,
if you're a dude.
It like,
sorry, guys.
And I just thought about this just now. Look at like current movies going on. The music that they like to play is all like 80s music. It's all like the actions music. It's like all the stories, like people want the Die Hard. They want the Rambos. They want that stuff. Trump is from that era. So that is almost like a surge of like, because like the 80s, which I only lived through a little bit of it, and I vaguely remember it.
Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of people talk about that being like one of the greatest eras in America.
Dude, it was.
And it's easy to think back. You have Stallone, you have Schwarzenegger, you have, Die Hard, you have all this cool stuff.
Think about some of the best 80s hair metal. Like, you had hair metal, you had Van Halen, Motley Crue.
And you had the Trump Tower. You had Donald Trump. He won Monopoly in real life, and like it's almost like all that stuff is kind of making a surge back. I didn't think about this till literally just now, but he is from that time. It's almost like we want that. We want the 80s. We don't want the 90s. They were okay, but
Nirvana sucked.
Yeah.
See, that's what people get wrong. And I figured out a long time ago. People think Trump, when he says make America great again, the left says he wants to bring it back to like antebellum South. Nah, dude. He wants to bring it back to America 1980.
Yeah.
People get that all wrong. He wants to bring it back to Reagan era. He does not want to bring it back to the 1800s.
No.
The dude's not dumb, and he's not from that time.
No.
He wants to bring it back to, you're in a fucking Lambo.
Yeah,
you're in Miami,
low taxes.
You have two girls in bikinis next to you.
Yeah,
it's the American dream.
Yeah,
he doesn't want you to go back to fucking cotton farms. Like they painted him as some racist. I don't believe it for a minute.
You just driving a cool car. The air's clean and smells good. You got Duran playing on the radio.
You're going to see Motley Crue tonight.
Yeah,
girls have big hair with hairspray. Fucking awesome. We're tearing a hole in that ozone.
Yeah, and you
don't care.
And you kept more of your paycheck. Mm-hmm. Everything was just
you could work in a factory and raise a family of 6.
Yeah.
Think about that. In the factory that you work for threw you a clam bake every year.
Well, remember Married with Children?
That show. That's the show.
Al was the only one that worked. And he worked at a shoe store, and nobody said, that's unrealistic. We all looked at it and said, okay, a guy working a 9 to 5, a low-income job, can afford a house and a stay-at-home wife and 2 greedy little annoying kids.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And he had a beer, and he was complaining, and that's normal. That's normal. Not anymore.
No.
He's trying to paint the picture of that could come back.
Yeah.
And why? Trump's the guy he always wants to be in charge. He wants to be in charge of a business. He wants to be in charge of that business. He wants to be in charge of this company, which is the biggest business of all time. Give him the reins, man. This time around, I don't think he's going to get tormented as much. I don't think they can bully him as much. I don't think they can suppress him as much. Hopefully, there's not another flu going around, which bird flu, I said before, might be the new COVID. Trump's back, pandemic's back.
Yeah, it's weird.
Seems like that. Hopefully not, knock on wood. But yeah, let's hope the best for President Trump, and we'll end Trump on that. California is burning right now.
Yeah.
You think that's a message from the gods? Or do you think it's arson?
It's interesting you say that. I saw it, was it this morning or last night, a comparison to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Very interesting, right?
Yeah, the city of sin.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you look at a lot of it's never actually been released, so nobody really knows who was on Epstein's list. I don't think it's ever actually been a release.
Because he killed himself in prison, maximum security.
But a lot of those celebrities with their quote-unquote pizza parties and all this stuff going on, and what comes out of Hollywood, there's a lot of very questionable stuff that I don't let my 11-year-old watch, which is funny. Like, I think I told you before, trying to get my kid to watch a horror movie. I just want my kid to see this person's head get cut off. I don't want to see boobies and sex on there. I don't want to have that talk yet. I just want some good, clean violence.
I just want to see murder. Cut this shit.
But they did all that stuff. It's interesting you mentioned that. I don't necessarily think it is that, but it is interesting to know what gets pumped out of there, and now it's burning down. But California is an arid environment. I lived in California for a little bit. Actually.
Wow, very interesting.
I was stationed out there for the Army for a little while.
Very unique perspective to bring to all this. I like that.
I was in a very arid, dry area. I was in Death Valley, actually. It was a beautiful, beautiful, booming metropolis, Fort Irwin, California. I say booming metropolis. The movie theater was so excellent that we got the movie Bad Santa 4 months after it came out. It was on DVD by the time it was in our theater.
Wow.
Like, we had nothing. Like, there's nothing there.
Bad Santa's not bad. Underrated. Really, Bob Thornton. That's kind of funny. Kind of a funny movie.
But it's like where I was super dry. I'd been to other parts in California. It's a dry area. It's a hot area.
Hot area, yeah.
But that's why you have to clear that brush. You have to rake. And I love when they made fun of Trump for rake. He talked about raking, like, oh, were they going to get out there with rakes? Like, well, yeah, actually, kind of, sort of. There's machines that do that.
Yeah.
Because
tons of fallen trees are out there too.
Yeah, because fire feeds off of dead brush and live brush. But if there's no brush, it's kind of hard to burn rocks.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to set rocks on fire. Can be done. Takes a lot. But if you can, wildfires are a thing that happen. They're a natural thing. It's part of nature. You got to expect them. And they should have expected them. It's 2025. This isn't the 1700s where someone's like, oh shit, that spot over there, it catches fire every now and then, just so you know. We've known this.
Yeah, like we don't have the bucket brigade anymore.
Yeah, but we emptied the water reserves out there. They laid off a lot of the firefighters. They changed the qualifications for stuff.
There was too many white male firefighters. You remember that article? Too many white males. We need a more diverse firefighter community, so we're denying white males. That's interesting.
Did you see the comment that the one... she's a heavier set woman. I think she's with the assistant fire chief, and someone said, well, are you strong enough to carry my husband out of the fire? And her response was, well, if I have to carry him out of there, he's in the wrong situation. Yeah, correct.
It's a fire.
Correct.
It's a fire.
So nobody wakes up. It's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set my house on fire today. Well, actually, there's probably a couple people, even in this county.
Around here, we had a big arsonist. We had a pretty infamous arsonist around here.
Did we really?
Yeah. Remember that guy, the Gouldsboro guy? Burnt down the place right by Jack's. And he burnt down the library.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy was nuts.
So there are wild people, but it's like, it's like, yeah, he is in the wrong situation. It's like saying, like, somebody's in a car accident, and like a paramedic be like,
been there.
"Yeah, you got in the wrong situation." Well, no shit.
Yeah,
Like, of course I am.
You
but
didn't
it's
use
still
your turn signal.
Yeah, that's like me when I was in the Army saying like, "Well, if I gotta fight your war for you, you're in the wrong." Yes, that's my job.
You shouldn't be in this war.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be in this.
It's like that's your job. Like, it is the wrong situation. But yeah, more like you said, like, is it arsonist? I've heard stories. I don't know how true they are.
We'll know in a couple days, maybe. Or never.
I did see the aerial satellite time lapse, and it looks like 3 fires starting very far apart, all simultaneously.
That's which is
it is weird. Weird things do happen.
They do.
It could, but it's definitely odd.
Definitely odd, maybe symbolic. Who knows? Up to you. It's up to the interpretation of the viewer to understand what that is. Now, here's what's interesting, though, and I don't want to go on this too long because I don't know enough, but was this all because of a smelt?
What's a smelt?
It's a fish. And I read that they were trying to preserve this fish, and Trump talked about this. It's a smelt. I eat them a lot because I come from an Italian family, and around Christmas, we eat these little fish called smelts. And there was going to be this redirection of water into a reservoir.
Okay.
But they said it would mess up the smelt population. So they redirected all the water to flow naturally the way it did into the ocean instead of saving it in a reservoir. And that's why there was a shortage of water. Now, please don't quote me on this, but if you look up the smelt, which sounds like a Jewish word, but it's not.
That's I was sorry. That's where I thought this was going.
It's a fish. The Jews didn't do this.
Not this
Trust
one.
me, not this one. But trust me, we're not getting into that. We could later. But the smelt, I guess, has something to do with this, that there was not excess water because of the smelt population. Now, please do your research, because I'm not a fact checker here.
That wouldn't surprise me. That sounds about on
Trump
par.
said something about that once, too. But I'm telling you, I looked into it. It's about the smelt reproducing. It would mess up the ecosystem of the smelt so that reserve water just went into the ocean. And
that wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me because that California, and it's not just California, but like the restrictions that they put on stuff for seemingly silly things. It might seem silly to us. Obviously, to somebody, it was important. I did see that Oregon sent fire trucks down to California to help. They're currently being held up because they have to have emissions tests done to operate in California, and it's already being told that they're not going to pass, so they can't help.
I love
We're
that.
going to let our state burn.
I love that.
I love that.
Excuse me. Whoa. Do you know what this could do to the environment as the environment's burning?
Yeah, but all this
Get back to Oregon, you fucker.
Get back on your trail.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, rip. Fun video game, though.
Yeah.
Fun game.
So, I mean, I could definitely see that as a possibility. It's one of those things that, like, is that oversight? Is that ignorance? Or is that planned?
They thought Gavin Newsom was going to be the president.
Yeah.
Let's really think about that. They really thought he'd be the president.
I'm actually really surprised. I wonder if he has the foresight to go, I can't beat Trump, but I can beat the next guy.
After this?
Yeah. After this?
See, that's what's crazy. Imagine that. I don't know. Maybe. They're going to test your intelligence out there. And that's why I said the other day, who does the left even have? Like Trump, there's a couple people that could come after him, whatever. Who does the left even? Is there even a Democratic Party anymore? Who could even maybe run for president next time around?
I think they have to go the celebrity route.
It has to be like The Rock or Swift.
I've actually thought that it would be Dwayne Johnson.
Beyonce or somebody. Like, that's all they have left is celebrity appeal. But will that be worth anything in 4 years? No, I think we're going to have AI movies soon.
Oh, well, we almost already do.
You won't be looking at Dwayne Johnson. You're old. This guy never ages. Yeah. He's my favorite actor. He's not even real. You know what I'm saying? Like the girl with 3 boobs. That's my favorite actor. And all you humans only have 2 boobs. So,
well, that's like
you know what I'm saying?
Somebody like, I think it was Mark Hamill, played Luke Skywalker, has given over the rights to his voice and his image to Disney, to his likeness. Yeah. So that they can, if they wanted to in the future, produce a movie about Luke Skywalker, but make him look like he did 30 years ago.
They're all doing that.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen sold his likeness to Sony for $500 million.
Was it Bruce Willis or Bruce Springsteen? I think Bruce Willis did too.
Oh, Willis, yeah, he's dying. He did that. I don't know if it was Sony.
It was to somebody.
But Springsteen sold this catalog, his likeness, everything. So if he wants to be in a movie one day or a soundtrack or tour as a hologram, Sony owns him. And these big labels are buying likenesses now on death row. Somebody else almost died and they sold their likeness. I don't know if it was Pink Floyd. One of these bands said we could go on after we go. Kiss is already doing hologram shows.
It's wild because there's this a YouTube channel that I like. It's the guy or people or whoever, they use an AI generator to generate lyrics, and then they put it into another AI generator that does the music and the singing, and it sounds exactly like a real band, a real person singing.
Better. It sounds better.
I don't know about better.
Oh, no, it does.
There's a couple times where it's that lyric doesn't make sense. But the truth is, you can listen to music now and be like, yeah, that lyric doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like Cardi B. Wow, I would never say that out loud. Nevertheless, in front of millions of people. That's odd.
Yeah, right.
But people love it. Things are about to get weird. So what I'm saying is, I don't know what they're going to do in 4 years. I don't know what's going to happen in a month. Nevertheless, 4 years.
Well, they inundate us with tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. I mean, I'm not that much older than you. We lived through 9/11. We lived through Gulf War II, Iraq War, whatever you want to call it, global war on terrorism. We lived through Jan 6. We lived through this. We lived through that. We lived through COVID.
COVID's a big one.
I've already lived through my fourth once-in-a-lifetime event.
Watch Trump come back like Rocky too. That's crazy. I thought that guy was done.
So, like you said, just to touch back on the fires with Newsom, they're not going to remember that in 4 years because there's going to be 7 other tragedies since then. It's going to be a footnote.
Tomorrow there'll be 7 tragedies. Like I said, Trump assassination, we don't even remember the guy's name.
Yep. Yeah. They don't want you to know, or they don't want you to remember. They're going to help you to forget.
But that's why we're doing our due diligence on this show, and that's why I think we're going to end it here on this final thing. What's up with the news cycle? I need your insight on the big things that happen that they want us to forget. We're already forgetting. I'm going to bring them up right now. The drones.
The drones.
Is that already old news?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the drones, though.
The drones, I love that they happen in Jersey because in typical Jersey fashion, there was nothing but a bunch of car accidents anyways. And so those drones wholesomely came from Jersey because whether they're in the sky or on the road, people from Jersey can't, operate vehicles. But
yes, that's
the drones thing, I knew something was up because they have the standard red and green FAA required lights on them. So I don't think China was like, we need to scare the Americans, but not the FAA. And I don't think it was aliens because, again, I don't think they're like, well, we want them to know we're here, but we don't want to mess with the FAA. We don't want to mess with the government. We're just going to fly around. So
right off the bat, you think they're ours?
They're ours.
Okay.
I do think they're ours. And I do think, I don't know what they were doing. I've heard different theories.
Okay.
Either a full-blown test. It could be, I've heard of radiation was spiked in the area. So they may have been looking for a smuggled nuke of some type.
A dirty bomb.
I know you had mentioned the Tesla thing real quick. And like we had talked, I want to mention that real quick. The Special Forces soldier that blew himself up in the Tesla truck, the armored Tesla truck.
We do have to talk about this.
Yes. So he had tried to get on, I believe it was on Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan. He was trying to get on anything to get the news out.
Yeah, please explain to the audience everything you know about this.
Yes. I'm so happy to.
Let's do it.
Because this is one of those things.
See, I already forgot that was one of the biggest things. This Tesla truck incident is bigger than Luigi, bigger than the drones, bigger than all this. What's up with this?
So he had said a couple wild things. They weren't that wild, but one of the wilder things that he says that they're trying to discredit is that he said something about gravity propulsion. So real quick, before I dive into that, I want to say, I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. Everyone's like, oh, that's science fiction. Okay. In 1903, the Wright brothers flew a shitty plane made out of sticks.
Yeah.
And not even 70 years later, we put men on the moon and brought them home.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
I'm just kidding. Okay.
But we have that technology. We're what, 55 years later from moon landing? You're telling me that in all this time, we haven't developed a new form of propulsion? I don't know if the gravity thing is real, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that it very well could be that we figured out something for it.
Do you think us figuring that out has anything to do with, let's say, the Bob Lazar story?
Element 151. It could,
You think it at 115, right?
Is it 115 or something like that?
Do you think it has anything to do with maybe re-engineering foreign or off-world craft?
Very well could be. It very, very well could be. But I think the ones that we're seeing, the Tic Tac video and stuff like that, I think those are ours.
You think so? Even like Fravor?
Yes. Okay. It could be based off of technology that is otherworldly or previous worldly, if you really want to dive down the wormhole.
I wish we had 5 hours. Do you think we have off-world craft that we've re-engineered to get to this point? Or do you think we just naturally got to this point through human evolution?
I don't really know. I think it could go either way. Okay. Because like I said, like 1903, 1902, they said man will never fly.
Yeah.
And we're, 120 years past that, and look what we can do.
And every year is now 30 years of advancement,
exactly.
Especially now with AI.
Yeah. But to get to this guy that killed himself.
The Tesla guy.
So, even in what I did in the Army, I was taught how to make improvised explosive devices, what's commonly known as IEDs, or roadside bombs, as is commonly referred to.
Okay.
That's a hasty bomb. It's not a manufactured explosive. It's fertilizer and det cord. It's a combination of stuff. It's a homemade type deal. All right. They taught me how to make some. All right. They taught plenty of people in the military how to make them, because once you know how to make them, you know what to look for. When you walk into a home, you're like, why is there a pile of fertilizer in your basement? You know what? I'm going to look a little bit more. Maybe you guys, oh, wait, you got blasting caps. Okay. I know blasting caps and fertilizer is some of the main ingredients I need to make an improvised explosive device. So that's one of the reasons why they teach us this. Him being in special forces, they were taught this at much more in depth. And not to mention, there is a Department of Defense manual on how to build improvised explosive devices, and not just how to build them, where you can find the parts for it. Like, go to the junkyard to get this, go to your local hardware store to get this. So you're telling me the guy that had access to that and better training than me forgot all of it and just bought dollar store fireworks and put them in a bulletproof car?
Yeah, from the tent outside of a Walgreens. He got some fireworks. Yeah, that's the greatest point ever made. This guy has extreme training in his special forces, but he decided to go with the firecrackers.
And even if you could say, oh, well, he was never trained on that. Okay, you're telling me that I had access to this manual and he didn't? That he just never heard of it? It's essentially the anarchist cookbook for the Army is what it is. But on top of that, they said like the body charred beyond
recognition. There was just bones, if anything.
Just bones. So we had to, you know what? His DNA didn't come back the same as his kid. And as soon as I heard that, they were trying to push that narrative of, well, maybe he lost his mind because he figured out his kid isn't actually his. And that's, I gotta say, if all of a sudden that was revealed to me, I bet you I might go off the deep end too. I could definitely see that. The problem with that story is, though, they didn't need to test his kid. They didn't need to test his mom, his dad, any of his siblings, because they already have his DNA on file, as they do for all special forces soldiers, all special operations, including individuals like myself for what I did. They don't need to go to a family member to test DNA. It's already on file. They would see this happen, and if they suspected it was a military member, they would have looked into who rented this vehicle, whatever the case, and his common access card, the CAC, military ID, was recovered.
Yes.
Luckily, everything else was charred except this piece of plastic that's the same as your driver's license.
Now, is that plastic Fire resistant?
No, I'll show you mine. I still have mine. It's the same as a driver's license.
So it would burn just like his flesh burned off his body. Okay.
It might be a little bit more resistant. I mean, it's laminated, or is it laminated? It's got like it's plastic.
But
it's like a driver's license.
It's a little odd that survived, but his flesh didn't, right?
Right. Yes. But if you have that, and it's like, oh, okay, well, there's Jack Drinker. Well, we know he's in the military. This military ID. Maybe let's test it, see if it compares to Jack Drinker's DNA. Oh, it does. Well, that's his body. They're not going to be like,
let's check his son.
Let's check his son, because as soon as they said that, I was like, this story's bullshit.
But see, you're saying that to our great audience, and I'm very thankful for that, because you have an insight that's specialized. Mm-hmm. Most people that are watching Good Morning America say, well, that's true.
It makes sense,
and
right?
They move right on.
Because if it was you or me that just happened to have like a car accident or something like that, oh, we can't identify this body, but we think it might be this guy. Okay, local police aren't going to have our DNA. Oh, well, okay, let's check his mom or his dad or his kid or his sibling.
Makes sense.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
To the Good Morning America pajama moms.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Now, my question to you is, do you think the Cybertruck and the Trump Tower, was that just to get the attention? Or was that a message? Or an intended message that they wanted us to believe?
I don't know. I've heard some interesting stories that it was basically a message to military members on Trump's side. It was one of those, think twice about backing him. Think twice about supporting him. But it could be he also said, he was trying to be a whistleblower and come out. And maybe it's a message to Trump to be like, yeah, you better keep your mouth shut about secret government projects. We don't need you spilling the beans on this just yet. Okay. There's so many things that it could be. And it could be dude lost his marbles.
Dude lost his mind. Now,
and somebody made a mistake, forgot we had DNA. It is possible. It is 100% possible that it played out exactly like they're saying. But it's also 100% possible to get a straight flush. It's just really rare.
This does seem quite odd, though.
It is very
Trump
odd.
Hotel, Cybertruck.
Yeah.
This guy trying to whistleblow. He whistleblew to Sean Ryan, right?
I think it was to a guest on Sean Ryan.
Yeah, it got to Sean Ryan. Emailing all these people, trying to get this message out there, which is, what was his original message? Do you remember? What he wanted to, wasn't it about these propulsion systems?
It was, he was
drones?
Worried, yeah, he was worried, I believe, that the US and China are the only ones that possess this gravity propulsion type technology for drones. And it was something, I think he had more information. I'm trying to recall now after all these Jack and Cokes.
It's hard to remember. And the news cycles are so crazy.
It is, and it's a very compelling story. But he was worried that if this information did not get out, World War III could happen essentially on false terms, which World War III happening at all, I think we can all agree would be a pretty bad thing.
Wouldn't be great.
Yeah, it would be less than ideal.
It would not be ideal.
But he was worried, I believe, that it would be started on false pretenses or used in some way. The dude definitely seems stressed out. I mean, it goes all the way back to what we said at the beginning with MK Ultra and them screwing with people. I mean, that's a common thing. And MK Ultra never ended. They just changed the name.
Yes, and many people have told me that. And I thought, like, my naive brain was like, oh, they did that back in the day. They don't do that anymore. But it's like, they totally do. My brain just forgot that, like, oh, they're totally doing that, but only better now.
Yeah.
They're only doing it better.
They've only gotten better
easily. But my brain naive. I'm like, that's back in the day. They don't do that anymore. Yeah. So we can't rule anything out anymore. But look, you have way more information. You've seen more than me. You understand this. You know things don't make sense. I'm just trying to traverse through this life.
Oh, yeah.
In the best way possible and seek truth. And I like that we're here on Midnight Therapy because we don't have enough viewers that they could cancel us yet, or kill us, or MK Ultra us and make us go insane.
Yeah, too many resources for too little, you know?
We're nothing. We're small fish in the pond. We could talk all the jabber we want.
They'll just freeze the bank accounts and let us starve to death.
Which I'm already starving and broke now, so good luck. What, are you going to take my 01 Explorer? You can have it. It's got a transmission problem anyways.
Not me, though. Just give me a warning.
Yeah, please. I'll take a warning, too. I like to live. And I'd like not to go insane and blow myself up in a Cybertruck. But it would be cool to drive a Cybertruck.
I mean, did he, though, or was he dead with it?
It might have been remote control, dude, like a fucking Toy Story car.
No, don't your hands have to be on the wheels? I thought that was one of the things.
There's things. I watched Whistling Diesel, great account, where he destroys the Cybertruck.
Oh, okay.
In a test. You can shut certain features off.
Oh, really?
There's a feature where, like, you have to have your hands in your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You can shut all that off.
Oh, you can?
There's options.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all doable, man. If the truck could drive itself, trust me, you could set something up in that computer where you don't have to have your hands on it.
Because he shot himself, they're saying, with a 50 caliber Desert Eagle.
Just like that Hillary Clinton employee shot himself in the head and hung himself with the extension cord from the tree.
Yeah.
And that Obama chef that was a good swimmer drowned in the pond.
Yeah.
Things happen, Tim.
1 foot, yeah.
Things happen. Epstein, it was 24-hour surveillance with human monitoring, and it was a suicide-proof room with a rip-away outfit, but he still killed himself on the bunk bed. Things happen. Weird things happen.
The weirdest thing of it all is that people will hear that stuff and think that we're the crazy ones. That all of that, there's people out there that just heard what you said. They're going to go, well, yeah, that guy did drown. Yeah. He probably, he was hanging there, and so he decided to shoot himself.
I can't take this.
Yeah. To people out there, somehow, this makes enough sense that it at least warrants not paying better attention. And that blows my mind.
I think it's just the ego of man to feel so comfortable in your echo chamber, in your tribe, that anything that goes against that way of thinking is a direct insult of you. And your and like, where did that come from? Like, I like Trump, and you insult Trump. That's not insulting me. Say I like the Eagles and they lose. That's not insulting me. Stop associating yourself with these fake ideologies.
Yeah.
You're on an organic spaceship spinning through space, and you're a human that gets to eat and have sex. Stop thinking about things so much. Like, what do you care?
Yeah.
You're lucky you're alive. 5 million different things could have happened that we wouldn't be here right now. But we're like, oh, you're not really a Democrat? Like, what's that? Imagine being in heaven.
Yeah.
And you're dead, and they go, well, what do you regret? It's like, well, I didn't make enough money. They're like, money? What's that?
Yeah.
They go, well, what we were down there, and I guess that makes sense. Yeah, get in line. What do you mean money?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean Democrat? These are all fake terms that we all abide by to keep order in this time, but it's not really real.
No.
But people are so convinced.
Well, they're afraid to be wrong, too. Like, some people are so afraid to say, you know what? I made a mistake. I was wrong. I had the wrong opinion. And like I said, I think like the drones, they're us. If definitive proof came out tomorrow that it's from Mars, I would go, oh, well, I guess I was wrong.
Well, you know why that's not going to happen? Because if it was, you and me would probably quit our job. We would drink Jack and Coke. We'd probably smoke again.
Yeah.
We'd pull out some cigs. We wouldn't care about anything. You know why? Because if aliens are out there that have the power to come here and found us, we're doomed. We're done. You know that. And it proves that this whole construct is fake. Yeah. If you can find a tiny little planet in a small dying star in the Milky Way, and you realize that there's evolved hominids that know how to make sex pornos and drive cars, what are we doing working? We don't have to work anymore. We're going to be novelties in the Barnum and Bailey circus of an alien very soon. So let's have some fun, get the camel crushers, and let's go until they come.
We are if there are aliens, which I think there probably are.
Did they find us yet? That's the question.
That's the question. But if they did, we're the Chicago of the Milky Way. No one's coming here to visit. They drive by and they lock the doors.
They lock the door. and that's the
those hairless apes. They got nukes.
That's the best hope, that they found us and they hate us. And they go, we got to get away from there. That's your best hope.
Could you imagine that? Like, the aliens are just like, this is the most fucking ghetto planet I've ever seen.
Whoa, that's a bad area down there.
They use coal.
Yes.
and gas, and they just kill each other because they look kind of different.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell the difference. They all smell the same.
They would say, no, we're not going. No, not down there.
Yeah.
And the teenage aliens would go down there to be fun. And then we'd shoot them down once in a while and steal their fucking Prius. We would steal their Prius. You went down the wrong neighborhood, bitch. Like, that's what we say. Like the teenagers, they're like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
Get shot down once in a while. Area 51, re-engineer their Toyota Supra.
Yeah.
And that's where they go. And they become the warning story.
Yeah.
Don't go down there because we heard that there's bad stuff that goes on.
No fly zone.
Billy never came back.
Yeah.
And they probably have that car now.
Yeah.
They're probably
They locked him in this little military outpost in Nevada. You don't know what that is, but it's a desert. You know how unhospitable a desert is?
They're obsessed with anuses. They think all we want is anuses.
Yeah.
They're going to probe, they think.
Yeah. Bob did that one thing one time, and now everyone
Your
thinks that's
father experimented with me one time on our anniversary, and now they think that's our brand.
What if they just come by and they're just like, hey, where's the dodo birds at? We like them.
Like, imagine aliens came and they're like, oh, that's the dinosaur planet. And they come back and it's just us going to work every day. They're like, what's this?
Yeah, there used to be huge, awesome creatures. Now there's hairless apes. One just told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah, what is this? Like, they're working and they're suffering. They're miserable.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
They're digging holes and pulling rocks out and putting electricity.
And they're building these squares.
Yeah.
That cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And what is money?
Yeah. It's a weird thing.
That's a good humbling thing, though. Like, we're all worried about our mortgage and shit. It's like, imagine one day it was like, hey,
none of this
matters. Are nothing.
Yeah.
You guys
It'd be a wild thing.
You guys are actually nothing. You don't even know how to transcend to another dimension.
Yeah.
We do. Well, you guys still using planes? Weird.
Yeah.
You ain't going to get off the planet that way. You need this mushroom.
No, yeah.
We really covered everything, Jack.
Yeah. For now.
We did. Anything else you have to say?
No, just it's a big honor and pleasure to be on. I really appreciate it.
You brought this crazy military experience to bring to the table, which is awesome. Like, I never had that before. I feel like you're like a top secret guest.
A top secret.
I do like that.
I do have an interesting background.
You
I will
really
say.
do. You have a great selection of shirts also.
Thank you.
I wore this in homage to yours. I knew it was going to be some type of Hawaiian shirt. What do you have on your shirt there? It's parrots and what else?
What else is on here?
There are guns.
It looks like 1911.
Yeah, parrots holding guns on a Hawaiian shirt. That's very cool.
I don't know if the parrots are I guess they are kind of
holding it with their feet. Are they not?
That's actually. I actually didn't even pay attention. That's pretty bad.
Well, I did. But this is Jack Drinker. We'll have him on again, I hope. We could probably talk for another 8 hours.
Oh yeah,
you're one of my
we can make this
friends.
a regular thing.
It's been a long time since we hung out, so I'm happy we finally got to hang out.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully the camera's rolling.
Yeah,
we got it. We do this all the time, even when the camera's not rolling. Thankfully, you guys get to see this. But we got to make this happen more often. Thank you for coming on. You're the freaking best, man.
Thank you.
This was a good one. I think it's going to be one of the best podcasts yet. We're going to give one more message to the sponsors of the show. We have Jack's Pub and Eatery, located in historic downtown Chesapeake, and Three Saints Barbershop. You probably saw a couple episodes with Mike the Barber. Yeah. He's an interesting cat himself.
He is very interesting.
Very cool dude. He's probably going to love this episode. You've got a lot of cool insight. We'll get you connected with him one day. Maybe we'll have a big podcast.
All right.
Those are the sponsors of the show. This is Jack Drinker. This is Midnight Therapy. As always, stay curious, my friends, and good night.